Good morning guys, hello and welcome to our next webinar. Today we're going to talk about the printer troubleshooting. My name is Robin.
And my name is Robert.
And we're just going to have a short look directly at the agenda for today to see what's going on. So, printer troubleshooting. We did before already the printing troubleshooting. So, printing results, looking at them, what's wrong, what could have happened. Now we're going to have a look directly at the preparation of the job and of the printer, what's going to happen there, or what can we see, what kind of issues may appear and how to solve them. So we start with the job preparation, we then go for the printer preparation, and then we're going to have a look for the start print job messages which appear when you start a job. And in the end, again, the big Q&A topic, so maybe there's some more questions today. And if you got some questions, as usual, write them in the chat. Or write them at the end when the Q&A is if you think it's a bigger question. We will answer all questions, if possible, at each section or at the end of the complete webinar. I think that's enough introduction for today. We got a lot of things to show you, so Robert, take over.
All right, also from my side, good morning guys. Let me start with the first topic, which would be the job preparation. So maybe some guys of you already have discovered the problem with transferring a job to the printer, and there are various reasons for that. First, let me start with a pretty obvious thing. I know we have talked about that in a previous webinar as well, but I just wanted to put it in here as well because it really fit into the situation that a customer might be a little bit upset that maybe a material parameter is not listed in the engine. So what could be that the customer has bought a certain material without checking the available material in NetFab yet. So what happened is he ordered a wrong material, he wanted to prepare a job, he's searching for the material name in the material list and it's not there. So that could be a little bit disappointing.
Yep.
One thing could be that maybe he has a small chance that he has not the latest NetFab engine installed from RapidShape, which would mean he just go to our knowledge center, getting the latest RapidShape engine for NetFab, downloading it, installing it, and it might be that the material is there. If it is still not there, then he should contact the manufacturer for further information. And as a general hint, before you order a bottle for your printer, you should always cross-check the complete name on the bottle, if it is there in the material list, yes or no. Alright, where to find the material list? I think we already covered this quite a lot in previous webinars. You find this in NetFab in the material settings. Alright, the next thing would be we have a transmitting error. So there we could have actually 3 possible reasons for that. Let me show you this in NetFab directly. Just a second please. So here we are. So this is the machine environment which we are all used to. What we see here is I prepared a very small cube. It's hard to see. Yeah. I just wanted to create a small obstacle that we can have a really quick slicing process, and as you can see we already have a machine here. It's the 30 plus test and a certain material, and let's just create build to see what happened here. So a slicing process should be fairly quick now because it is a small and tiny obstacle, and let's see what will happen when I press send to printer. As you can see, we have a transfer error. This could be, this could happen from time to time at the customer side.
Yeah, we have seen this a lot.
Yes, we have seen this quite a lot. It could be, first obvious reason for the transmitting error would be the IP address. So what we can see here is it ends with the 101, 21. 21 is just the port number, so don't be confused with that. The IP address ends with 101 here, and let's just see if this information is correct. Therefore, I just go back with cancel. Let's go to the machine settings and open the machine in here. And just to get the information from the machine, this is also something we discussed in previous webinars. I think the best way now to check this information out, where to find the IP address on the printer, would be the network section of the previous webinar. All right, let me share the screen with you guys so that you can see what's actually happening here. So this is the machine screen, and Robin will show us where to find the IP address on the machine here.
We now connected with Wi-Fi, so it's a bit more complicated, but also quite easy. So I will just select the Wi-Fi I'm connected to and click on properties, so I can see it on the bottom left. Now the IP version 4 address, and I can compare this one directly with the one I put in NetFab. So, and it seems to be, you said it's a 101, 52,
yeah,
101?
52, maybe the 52 was wrong.
Let's have a look. So 52, 101.
Wrong network. So let's go back to NetFab. Let me quickly share the screen with you. Let's go back to the machine settings right here. And as you can see, the IP address was actually correct.
Okay, that's good.
So then we have a different reason for that. So then again, this was the first reason what could go wrong, wrong IP address. Just go back to the machine, cross-check the information. Obviously, it must be the same. So second reason could be that the username is incorrect. The username is always Rapid. It doesn't matter which machine. Let's assume you have like 2, 3, 4 machines at a customer site. All of these machines have the same username in the machine settings. So this is correct, obviously. So the last possible reason for a transmitting error would be the wrong password. So let's say we won't share the password here in the webinar, but you can be sure that you can find the password in the machine's manual. So what happens also quite a lot, let me just enter the password real quickly. What is also happening a lot is that a customer is using the correct password, but has maybe caps lock active. So, or is maybe using a capital letter at the beginning or somewhere in the middle. So in this case, if I have a service case and I go online via TeamViewer on the customer's PC, I just enter the password on my own, cross-check if the job transfer is working. Normally, like 80–90% of the time, it is working then. So make sure that the correct password is inserted. Let me save the changes we have done here, and let's just try again. So I assume and I hope that the job transfer will work now. Again, we have a fairly quick slicing process because of a small part. Let's see what will happen, and let's just send it to printer. And as you can see, when you see this window with the option of enter a certain file name, then you can be sure that the information transfer or the job transfer is working fine. Maybe just one additional hint here or a recommendation. What you can see here is the file name, which is per default the date and the time. So that would be the 14th of May. And 9 AM, 8 minutes, and .r-shape build. If you want to make a change here, you can do that, but please make sure that you just change the front name. Do not delete or change something with the file type at the end. If you do any change here, the file might be transferred, but the machine cannot recognize this as a print job, and therefore it will not appear on the job list when you press the button select job on your printer. All right, I think this is quite easy to understand. So this was all about transmitting errors. I can see that there's no further question, but I also think that this topic is pretty straightforward, not too difficult to do and to understand. So for this case, I just cancel because, as you can see, this is a small cube, so we do not want to print this part here. So I just go back and I would just move forward with the next topic.
Yes,
with Robin.
That's fine. So in regards to the job preparation, there might also be some issues directly on the printer. So for example, you're using a USB flash drive to transfer this job. So you can save it as a file, put it on a USB stick, and put the stick inside of the connected with the machine. Maybe you still can't find it. So there's also the possibility, maybe you change the ending, so the file name. If not, it's important that you check if the file is in the root directory of the USB stick. So otherwise it won't be copied or cut out of the USB stick and on the machine. It won't be found by the machine. The other thing is maybe the flash drive is not properly connected. There's also sometimes a reason for this. Oh, thank you. I can see it better. So these are the two main reasons. And what also is happening from time to time is that customers are calling us or contacting us regarding, oh, there's this error message, corrupted job file detected and deleted. So there are some files or some jobs which may be corrupted because there's some information inside of the job missing. In the early days when we started with these machines, this couldn't be detected and the machine was just trying to print and stuck. So this was really bad, so we said, okay, there must be some solution for this. And we can now provide the corrupted job file, or we can now check the file if it's corrupted. So if the first layers or something is missing or something is wrong, the machine will let you know. Which is good, because the machine will just tell you, oh, corrupted job file detected and deleted. So you won't print a corrupted job anymore. This can happen. So a corrupted job can happen if you just use it, again, with a flash drive and you just disconnect the flash drive too early, for example. It's still processing, you disconnect too early, data is missing, and you might have a corrupted job file. Also, from time to time, it happened that there was just a defective flash drive and you should just exchange it for a good one. So just use another one for testing, for example. If you transfer via the network, so everything was working in NetFab, and you go on the printer and see, oh, the printer says this is a corrupted job file and deleted it. So what to do now? Because why should this happen? What we've figured out is that there's sometimes the antivirus software in fight with NetFab. So while NetFab is creating the file, the antivirus software is somehow messing up the complete print file. And then it's just going to be transferred, but files or informations are missing inside, and there you have it, corrupted job file will be deleted. Of course, we haven't got a corrupted job file in here yet, so we cannot show you. That's a little bit sad, but you maybe have seen this message, and it's an easy workaround. Check the antivirus software, set NetFab as an exception, and everything should be fine again.
Yes. Okay,
so I think no questions for now, so let's continue with the next one. And it's all about the printer preparation. So printer preparation means I have my job on the printer, I will know what I want to print, and I start to prepare it, put in the reservoir, for example. So I don't know, do you want to put in the reservoir while I'm
definitely,
trying?
yeah. Just give me a second.
So then we will just quickly transition over to the team viewer again. So when I'm inserting a reservoir, there will be reservoir warnings. So Robert is now inserting the reservoir, machine is trying to discover it, and there it is, directly reservoir check. Ooh, there are some warnings. So these warnings will also be shown before starting a job. For example, you can switch off this one, the reservoir warnings, in the settings. I think you did it in another webinar.
Right.
So you know where to do it. And then these warnings won't be directly when you put in the reservoir. But they will also be shown in the start job and start print job messages. We show it in a later chapter. For now, we will use this menu to see what's going on with the reservoir. So we can see on the printer the reservoir was not checked for 47 jobs and the material was not filtered within 59 jobs. So this is kind of a bad condition of the reservoir already and the material, I assume.
Pretty much.
And the reservoir level might be low. So let's start first, reservoir not checked. Easy solution. You remove the reservoir, you remove the resin, best is to filter it also, and you check the reservoir. So by holding it in light somehow, and if you have done this, you just reinsert the reservoir, click on confirm when the messages appears, and now you just say, okay, which action have I done? Or I have done reservoir check, or in this case you have done it. Exactly. So if Robert has checked the reservoir, he clicks on check reservoir. So now the reservoir is checked. We have seen there's some other error message. So what we will do is remove the reservoir again and put it back in to see what we still can solve. So we got the reservoir level might be low. This is all about the resin level, and we then have to check if the resin level is high enough and refill it if needed. Important, machine is not measuring the height of the material. Machine is just calculating once you put in the RFID, so like the information from the bottle. Yeah, Robert, this one. Yeah. If you hold the RFID to the machine and write it on the machine, yeah, then the machine knows, okay, now now the reservoir is refilled up to its maximum level, and then it will calculate from job to job with each volume when the material level might be low. We won't change it now as we got some other error on here which we want to show you. So this one we solve later on. But the next one which we can solve now is the material was not filtered. Most of the time you can combine this, as I already told you, when you're checking reservoir, because you have to remove the resin out of the reservoir, so just filter it as well. The only thing you have to, or the extra step you then have to take once you filtered it, put it also one time out and back in again, confirm the messages and say, I have filtered my material.
Okay, let me do this right.
Yeah, exactly. So Robert has filtered it, that's good. So now to check if really everything has worked out so far, so good, we will just reinsert the reservoir and have a look at the warnings again. So okay, looks good, only the reservoir level might be low, which we solve later. So that's all about the reservoir warnings. But again, there is the RFID, and we figured out that some customers have got issues with RFID reading, or so bottle or reservoir, and most of the time it's the best thing to just check with another bottle or another reservoir, because there might be the possibility that just the RFID tag of the bottle or the reservoir is damaged. In case you checked it already and it seems to be also not working, just directly contact us and we're going to have a look on the machine, what's going on, and figure out the main reason for this. And last but not least, there's a calibration level too low, too high. I think all of you have seen this already. This most likely appears when you start a calibration because you haven't done it for quite a long time, or you receive a freshly calibrated sensor again. So you send it in for calibration, you receive it, and then you calibrate the machine. Can also happen. So we won't do the calibration now, as we want to show it to you later within the complete process. But what we can directly tell you is the calibration level too high, too low is easy to solve. You just have to log in as chief operator. In the webinar with you, I think it was?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, of the software, they showed you how to log in as a chief operator or distributor. The password you can, for example, request from us. You maybe also have got all the passwords you need, because if you're logged in, you will have a bigger deviation, which is allowed during the calibration, and the warning won't appear. So this means you log in, you go back to the main menu without logging out, and execute the calibration. Small hint, on the top right of the printer, so I can go with my mouse there, maybe you can see it then.
Maybe we could do this right quick.
Yeah, or do it real quick. It's gonna be in the status bar visible when you logged in with what level. So we can see this is now level. We just log in as a chief operator, for example. And if you now have a close look on the top right section, we can see there is a green bar showing, you logged in with the first level. If I just go back to the main menu, I'm still logged in, and I can now execute the calibration whilst being a chief operator.
All right, let me just go back with setup, just to see the differences between the user levels. Maybe you can just enter.
Yes, exactly. So for example, if you go with the distributor password, you can see on the top right 2 green bars. So you're in the second user level of the printer. And if you go back, it's the same. You still can see top right, I'm still logged in. Now I can do the calibration and it won't show the error message too high or too low. Okay, so I think it's okay for now with the printer preparation. We've got no questions in the chat for now.
Looks
so
good.
Let's continue with the start print job messages.
So let's switch position.
Yes.
As you can see, guys, we are a very dynamic team today.
Yes.
It's not as static as the previous webinar, so we have to do some things here on the printer just to put more information for you on the screen. So yes, now let's talk about the big topic, the messages, what can appear on the screen of the machine when you start a print job. I'm quite sure that all of you guys who have worked with the machine has discovered that the machine is doing some background checks when you select a certain job and you want to start this job to print. So lots of messages will appear, and we just want to show you what's actually going on. So Robin, can you please start one of our prepared jobs? And as you can see, this is the worst possible situation what you can get. We did some preparation on this machine and on this job, obviously. So We could have different levels of, let's say, messages what can appear on the screen. We could have 3 different types. It could be actually an information only, it could be a warning, what we can see here on the screen now. And for Straumann customers, we could also have error types. So error types are the only ones you cannot override. So with a warning message, you can still, as you can see on the screen, there we have the confirm button, which means yes, you have recognized, you are aware of the message on the screen, but you are totally fine with that, and you still want to print this job. This is something you can't do when you have an error message and you have a Straumann machine. So this is something which is there just to make sure that we are always working in a validated workflow, in a validated environment, to have the best possible experience for the customer. So let's just go through these messages step by step. I would like to start with something which is happening not quite a lot, but it could happen for machines which are a little bit older, so a year or more than that. And let's see what we have here. Maybe one more information. You can see the last point here is understanding. So this is the most important thing here. We have to understand what we had in mind, what the developers had in mind when they put in these informations, and now we have to transfer the information to you guys, what kind of measures we have to take in order to prevent these messages and in order to have a great printing experience right here. All right, so let me start with the first one. Maybe you can highlight this on the screen, Robin, that would be great.
You said it's
the maintenance. As you can see, we have something called maintenance will expire. In this case, it shows us also the date, and we have the information, please contact the distributor. So what that means is that after a year, the machine will need to have a maintenance. Could be a remote maintenance or an on-site maintenance. It depends on the maintenance contract, what the customer has with us. Well, and then the machine gives you a heads up a month before the actual maintenance date. So 4 weeks before the maintenance will expire, every time you start a job, you get this message on the screen. So this is something which is really important, and we would always recommend the customer to just get in touch with us. As you all know, we have this really nice calendar on our homepage where you can just select a certain date where we are available to perform a remote maintenance, or if you have an on-site contract, you just contact us directly for an on-site visit. But this is just there to give the customer a reminder that the machine needs to be maintained by the RapidShape team. And as soon as this is done, we would log in with the distributor code, which we discussed in the previous webinar, where you can change the date for the next maintenance to come. All right, I think this is quite easy to understand. This is the first message. Not really, as you can see, that connected to the printing job. This is just something where the machine just counts the days and the months, and just gives a reminder, a heads up to the customer. All right, so let me just quickly move on with the next one. That would be a wrong machine class. Robin, maybe you can highlight this for us. I think this was in a different job.
Exactly, because otherwise we couldn't show.
Yes, that's really nice. Maybe you can see this right here. It appears even before you got the warning messages. So the job is rejected because it is a wrong machine class. As you can see, we are currently working on a D30+, which is always visible on top of the machine, so that we know all the time which machine class we have. And as we can see in the job information, we can see that the customer has selected a P30+. So therefore, the machine is comparing the information between the job information and what is stored on the machine. And then if this information is not correct, then we got this error message, and so we cannot start this job. So that would be one thing. I think this is pretty obvious, and that's something which happens quite a lot, but actually this is something which could happen maybe in the first days when the customer is just using the machine for the first print jobs and he's not aware of things and he has a learning curve. So that might happen quite sometimes. All right, then the next thing would be scaling mismatch. So scaling mismatch, I think we, can we see it right here? Let me
Yes, it's
see.
on the bottom, yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you. That is great. Thanks for highlighting it. Scaling mismatch, what does that mean? As you all know, in a previous webinar, we discussed about the basic NetFab settings.
Yeah.
So, as you all know, we put the scaling factors for X and Y in the NetFab machine settings, and this information is also stored on the machine itself. Remember, when you log in as a supervisor, so the customer password on the machine settings, then you will also find this information. And then again, the machine is just comparing these informations, which comes from NetFab in the job information, and which is stored on the machine itself. If this is not matching, we get the scaling mismatch. And what does it mean? If you would just confirm and start the job, you can be sure that the part will not be accurate in X and Y because the scaling is not correct. So just make sure that you have the same information in NetFab compared to the machine, and just reslice the job, and then it should be fine. By the way, the reslicing does also apply for the wrong machine class.
Yes.
So you just can solve these problems by just going back to NetFab, make sure that the settings are correct, reslice it, and then it should be fine. Okay. Another thing which could happen is the optical correction mismatch. Thank you, Robin. This is also something which can happen. Same thing as scaling factors. We have an optical correction file which is stored in NetFab. We have an optical correction file which is stored on the machine. If this information is not matching, we get the checksum mismatch. All right. Also, the information where to find the optical correction file, you get the information in previous webinars. It's on flash drive of the machine, but there you can also find how to implement the optical correction file in the NetFab settings.
Yeah.
All right, I think this is pretty clear. I can see there's something coming up from Gabriele. Maybe we can just incorporate this into this slide. He said that it happened to 2 customers who gave platform error. In that case, how we can solve it. Thank you, Gabriele. A very good point. Actually, we will come to this specific point later in this webinar. So yes, it is a very good question. It can come up from time to time, and we will discuss it later in a later slide of this webinar. But thanks for giving us the hint. All right.
Okay.
Let's see what we got next. Robin,
So,
it's all yours.
now you can go back to the printer and I'm in the front. Yes. So, this is the topic we talked about also before, the calibration. So it also shows now, before the print job is started, what's up with the calibration of the printer. So for example, what's the last calibration date? Maybe we can see it in here. Oh, calibration was not done within 27 days. On our machine, this is now a warning. On the Strawman machines, this would be an error. So it's now pretty important that you, well, in our machine, cancel the job. With Strawman, you cannot even start it, so you have to cancel. Remove platform reservoir and execute the auto calibration. We will do this right away, but first we have a look that we can. First we have a look at the next message. Sensor needs recalibration. So where to find it, or is it somewhere hidden? Ah, there it is. Okay, so last calibration done with the light sensor not calibrated within 14 months. So it's a little bit confusing, but this is the information, or this information just tells us the calibration we have done on the machine, the last one, was done with a sensor, but the sensor is now outdated. So within 14 months means 2 months over the yearly calibration. For now, this will be a warning. If there's one, or I think it's up from 15 months on Strawman, this will be an error. So always make sure recalibrate the sensor. So let's now assume we recalibrated the sensor for you, send it back to you, you received it, and you start the calibration because the last printer calibration date is long time ago. Then you might see the same picture as before, calibration level too low. So what we're going to do now is showing how to solve all of these problems at once. So of course, removing reservoir, getting the freshly calibrated sensor, which is now of course has now the new date on it.
Yes.
And we will just do the calibration as we, well, I think we also have got a video for it on the knowledge center.
Yes.
So you can also have a look at it. If your customer might struggle, maybe you can show it to him. So Robert is preparing the machine now, putting in calibration tool, connecting the sensor, and then starting the calibration. So
Let me see.
you're in the
I'm in
spot now.
Yeah, thank you so much. So as always, I mean, this is quite basic knowledge what we do here, but maybe one thing to what could happen is, you know that we have this glass element right here, and this must show to the bottom of the machine. We just had a service case a couple days ago where it was inserted upside down, and then it's pretty obvious that you cannot measure something.
I think we talked about also in another webinar about this, because it's just often happening and we're wondering why.
All right, so let's perform the calibration together real quick. First of all, we should cancel the warning messages.
Exactly.
And then, I just go to calibration, and let's see what we got here. Yes, I confirm the message, and we also got the information. Yes, we have to prepare it in a certain way. So we have done that. Cool. Let's see what will happen. Maybe we get an error message.
Good.
So already mentioned.
And now if you recall what we have to do, going into the setup, logging in with a certain level. So we just use now, for example, the distributor one. You will get the password if you contact us directly, for example. So, and now Robert just can do whatever he wants to do, but of course he's just going back to the main menu and getting into the calibration. Remember, top right, you can see still logged in as second level. So now we just execute the calibration. Machine is now allowing a bigger deviation. So now if the sensor and the machine are pretty much different, it still says, calibrate, I know what I'm doing.
All right,
okay.
Beautiful.
Calibration is completed. We save the calibration, and now the issue with the calibration is gone. So we can have a look in the select job maybe again. So let's assume let's take the first one. So we did the calibration. So now there's still a few messages. I think Robert can show us them when he got rid of all the other things.
All right. So yes, what we got here on the screen is still the same what we already discussed. So right now we have optical correction, checksum mismatch, as well as the scaling mismatch. What you can see here, it can be a little bit confusing, to be honest. We can see just the lower part of the warning messages. Just scroll up to see all the messages on the screen, what I do right here.
Yeah, depends where you left the last job.
Yeah. Thank you. So, as you can see, we still have some messages on the screen.
Yeah.
So let me fix that quickly with inserting a reservoir.
Yeah, but I can see there's also one question. So one question from Gabriele. He says, if the sensor has expired and the customer continues to calibrate, what happens to the printer? It is as if it does not calibrate. So the customer can still calibrate with an outdated sensor. But what's mainly the reason what's going to happen with the starting print job, you will always get the warning, or at a special time. So after the sensor is outdated too much, there will be an error and you can not start a validated job anymore on the Straumann printers. So this is what's going to happen when you use a non-calibrated or old sensor. So you can calibrate. That's, I think, the second question. If it does not calibrate, yes, it calibrates. Only before the job you will get a warning or an error. And there is more. So Kozuki is asking how to diagnose the light engine communication issue and how to troubleshoot.
Wow.
So this is most likely, I would say, a RapidShape service topic.
Yes.
Of course, you can do a cold reboot when you got issues with connecting to a light engine. Afterwards, you should be fine. But this is not part of this webinar. So I think best is cold reboot. Otherwise, contact us and we will get with you through the machine to see what's going to happen. Yeah. Second is, please let us know how to see log error in folder. If you're just referring to where to find the log files, I think you showed them before in another webinar.
That's correct.
So you should know where to find the log files, and in the log files you can also see pretty clearly the information, what's going on and what's not working. So, third question, is it possible to fix remotely the machine software trouble by local first support? Machine software trouble is like this, attached Okay, so there's a message, an error occurred, call RapidShape or distributor. So, as I said before with the light engine, what you can do is do a cold reboot, so shut off the machine, shut off the printer, switch off the main plug and unplug it. Then redo it again, switch on the printer. If the message still appears, it's exactly what the message on the screen says. Call distributor or RapidShape in this case, or leave us a message via WhatsApp, or best is contact us via email and open a ticket. And then we can help you.
Maybe one thing to add. The question that just came up is more related to the hardware components in the machine.
Yeah.
And maybe we can do a webinar about this, because this is really an in-depth question, a very high advanced topic for service members. So we should definitely move this to another webinar, because that would just take too much time. And we want to focus today on the messages, what can happen at the start job.
I think this would be cool if you just send these emails with some kind of questions like this to us or to your support competence center, so we can get out of these messages a full webinar maybe. And then we have got more in detail troubleshooting. So let us know some questions like this, really going into detail, and we can maybe build up a next webinar, one of the followings, with really your questions. This would be quite handy.
Yes. Maybe one thing I would like to add, as you can see, we had the issue or the warning messages that no reservoir is found. And as you can see, I did it in the background actually. I inserted a reservoir and I confirmed the reservoir messages. And now we are back at the warning screen and we still have the same message. So there's just something which I would like to share with you, and this is the refresh button. So on the top right corner you can see the refresh button, and by just clicking this it is rechecking. So now you can see it has recognized the reservoir. We get now other messages, but this is something which you definitely have to press if you did some change, and just to get an update about the latest messages here. Okay,
I think this is a good transition for the next one.
All right,
you can take it over again.
Yes,
move to the background.
I will do that gladly. So the next thing would be...
it was already. Sorry, I was too fast.
We are right here. Okay, so this is all about reservoir not checked. I think we did this already in the first chapter, but just to make clear what we got here, the reservoir check is really important, because in previous webinars we discussed it already. The reservoir is actually consisting of a glass plate, a silicone layer and a Teflon foil, and if there is some damage you could have problems. So please take care that the reservoir is checked from time to time, and when the machine gives you a heads up, a reminder, please definitely do that. So filter the material back into the bottle, check the surface of the Teflon foil, make sure that this is not damaged and it's clean, no fingerprints, no dust, dirt, anything on it, then it should be fine. But you always have to apply with the message of the reservoir. All right, so what we got here now is we have to try to get rid of these messages. So actually what we have to do, maybe Robin you can do that, take out the reservoir, put it back in, and then we, let's say, perform a check.
That's what we did in the previous one with the reservoir already. So the reservoir is checked, that's why we can't see the error anymore.
Okay, so we just at the moment have the
no reservoir found was...
No reservoir found.
You've seen it was with the reload button or the refresh button.
All right, so that looks good. The next thing would be the wrong platform actually. So this is something which we will see in a minute, as soon as Robin has started the prepared job, where we would like to show what's going on. So what you can see here is a platform mismatch. This happens if you have used a different platform in the previous job and a different one in the latest job. So as you all know, we just have two different types of platforms in use. There could be a standard platform, which you can see on the machine installed right here, and in addition to that we have the surgical guide platform. So the information, which kind of platform is used, you can also find in the job file, or the machine will find it in the job file, and it all depends on the selection in NetFab. Let me show it to you real quick. We got it right here. All right. So as you can see, in the settings we have the drop-down menu. in the platform. So here you can switch or toggle between standard platform and surgical guide platform. And as soon as you did a change here, you slice the job, transfer it to the machine will detect if this is the same platform what you have used in the previous job. It will compare. If this is not matching, it will just give you a reminder that the previous job was done with a different platform. And just to remind you to insert the correct platform, because that could also be a problem. So let me go back with the team viewer right here. Just a second, please. So this is what we got. And if you made sure that the platform is correct, you can confirm and start the job. The machine will additionally detect when it has performed the fine zero movement, if this is really the correct platform, yes or no. It is detecting it by having a certain difference in height of the platform. The surgical platform is a little bit taller than the regular platform, and the machine can detect what was my distance from top position to bottom position, and if this is a certain deviation, it is recognized, okay, this must be either surgical guide or standard platform. All right, should we show this right here?
I think we already got like 40 minutes webinar, so we'll jump over this, but it's just platform will move down, and as soon as it turns to find zero, it will tell you error, wrong platform detected.
That is correct.
So I will just load now this job where we still got some issues. So
beautiful.
We got still the material mismatch, maintenance, and optic correction scaling mismatch. So if you already have checked this in NetFab and you change it and reslice the job, this is what I do also. So let's just use the resliced one. I found out that I made some errors in NetFab, so now I can see, oh, they are also gone. So we got 3 errors to solve. Maintenance, contact us, we will solve it for you.
Right.
The other 2 you still can solve by your own, so this is what we told you. Maybe Robert, you want to do it?
Oh, definitely.
Live? So we still got the material mismatch. Our job has got the information as well as the platform, what kind of material we're using. So the message tells us already the job has got the material, master model beige, and we got the bottle here. But the reservoir still has got the information, oh, I'm filled with surgical guide. So now you should really compare where things have gone wrong. So did you select the right material in NetFab? If yes, that's good. Then you take care of the reservoir. So then you change the reservoir with the right material. So if you, for example, have got an old reservoir inside because you were printing surgical guide, remove it, put in the reservoir with the master model beige. Or in a case like we got it now, we cleaned the reservoir and want to use another material. You also have to rewrite the information from the bottle to the printer. Same will then also happen that you will fill the material, and as soon as you write it, the material filling height will be set as maximum, and the reservoir level might be low message will also be gone. Like I said before, the message reservoir material not filtered or material expired can also happen here, will be shown when you're not solving it while putting in the reservoir. So, but for now, let's solve the issue. Right. The material mismatch and reservoir level might be low.
So we also explained this in previous webinars. We have the RFID tag on the bottle. What we have to do is we just put it in the position where the RFID sticker can be found in the machine, which is at the bottom right. So I just hold it right next to the machine, and let's see what happens here. Beautiful. Good. So we get the information. So the material bottle was identified with rapid shape master model beige. And we can also see the expiry date of this specific bottle. And now I just want to write the data to reservoir, and I use the button next or yes, not next, sorry. So now it is written on the reservoir, and as previous on the previous slide, I would just like to use the button refresh.
Exactly.
To see what we got here.
So rechecking, wonderful,
lovely.
Only as an issue which is left. Maintenance will expire. We still got 8 days left to contact the Rapid Shade service, so good for us that they are next to us and they can do it real quick. Yeah. So, but now we solved all the issues, and I can see there's no questions yet, but let's head over to the big question and answer section. So now we could start, for example, the print job, because we're sure maintenance, okay, yeah, that's another thing which RapidShape will solve, but I can print without any issues. And of course, always make sure that also the customer in a training, when you visit the customer or when you're doing an installation, is aware of these messages, that they have to do something as soon as these messages appear in order to get a proper print result.
Yeah, that's all right. So I think we gave you guys a lot of information today. This was quite a long webinar.
Yes.
So I can totally understand if you just need some time to digest, to get your heads up on that. As always, let us know if something is unclear, if you have another question coming up. We would always like to answer them right here in the webinar. As always, if you have another question coming up after the webinar, give us an email, send us an email, contact us directly, that we can implement this maybe in a future webinar.
Yeah.
That would be beautiful. So I think we have maybe a couple, 1-2 minutes left to discuss something. So please let us know, put your questions in the chat if there's something you would like to discuss. In the meantime, maybe we can give you a preview.
Yeah, short outlook.
Next week. Next week we're also planning to have webinar which we will talk about the RS Wash and RSQ.
Yes.
In detail. So we already had already covered the topic a little bit, but this would be a real in-depth webinar about RS Wash, RS Cure, how to work with this, how to maintain it, how to implement it in your
software
network.
usage.
All these little bits and pieces we will discuss here in the webinar, and we are really looking forward for that. This will also be a little bit a different setup here.
Yeah, let's see how it's going to work out.
Exactly. Yeah.
So one more question from Kosuke. So is it necessary to perform advanced calibration except your remote maintenance? Clear answer, no. Usually, really not. So advanced calibration should not be touched. As long as you get in contact with us and we figure out maybe there is something wrong with the advanced calibration, then we're going to have a look at it together with you. So maybe then you also learn more about advanced calibration. But usually once a year, checking the advanced calibration is our recommendation. As also we experienced some cases where the advanced calibration was totally off because people tried to do advanced calibration and thought now it's better, but yeah, the process takes a little bit of time and you have to be accurate. So answer is contact us if you think there's something with advanced calibration. Otherwise, just do it. Just let us do it during the remote maintenance once a year.
All right. So I think this was a pretty straightforward answer to this question. If there's nothing else coming up, then as always, we would like to thank you guys for
thank you.
taking the time, joining us in the webinar. We are really looking forward for the next ones, and it's just a great thing to interact with you and sharing informations here. Getting also input from you guys is very, we are very grateful for that. So thank you for participating, and if there's nothing else from our side, from your side, we would like to thank you and say stay safe, stay healthy, and stay three-dimensional. See you until next time.
Bye-bye.